Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. We are Pitu and Beth, and this episode is a continuation of our Superstar series. Now, Beth and I are very excited because this is a superstar that we both enjoy. And I would say this is a superstar that we have spoken about a lot on this podcast already. This is a woman that if you grew up in India or you watched a lot of Indian TV in your formative years, you already knew her before she debuted in her Hindi film debut. We've seen her in countless print and TV commercials. We've seen her in Euphoria's music videos. We've seen her as one of the sisters in the sitcom Hum Paanch. And so when she finally burst on the scene with her first Hindi film, which was also a big hit, which was Parineeta, it was like, oh, it's that girl. We know her. What's her name? But yeah, it's Vidya Balan. She is definitely one of my favorites, and I consider her like equal parts actor and star, which is something I would like to get into today. And I'm very excited to discuss her with Beth. I actually don't know what movies Beth has picked for this episode, and I picked some doozies. So without further ado, let's get into the Vidya Balan episode.
I watched her debut, her Bengali, which was Bengali, pardon pronunciation even more than usual, Bhalo Theko.
Okay.
And then I rewatched Ishqiya because to me, Ishqiya was one of the things that everyone was like, oh, dang, about her, right? It proved
Hmm.
that I think that's the one that demonstrated she could be sexy,
Yeah.
and a little
Raunchy.
bit dangerous and that kind of
Mhm.
thing. And also just that movie was huge, at least in the discourse that I was a part of and around at the time it came out. So it was really fun to revisit Ishqiya just in general.
Nice. I was struggling with the filmography because as I looked through her filmography, oh my God, scene, 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 scene. I was like,
Yeah.
what do I do? And I didn't want to rewatch any of her films
Mm.
because there's so little left in her filmography for me to watch. I was like, no, I'm just going to focus on the stuff I haven't seen.
Yeah.
And you had liked Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3, and I had always wanted to get around to it, but for some reason it kept slipping my mind. So I was like, okay, we'll hunker down and watch Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3. So I did that finally. Then I watched Do Aur Do Pyar
Mhm.
because I feel like I'm one of those people that goes on and on and on about how I want to see age appropriate love stories. And
Right.
so I felt like if I don't actually watch an age appropriate love
Yeah.
story starring her, then I would be a huge hypocrite. So I was like, let's go watch this age
Very good
appropriate love
reminder.
story.
Yeah, I should do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I watched that. And then I watched a movie that I was convinced was going to be awful. And I was just doing it to round out my homework. But I watched Ghanchakkar and I
Oh.
actually enjoyed it a lot. And I'm still kind of puzzled by how much I like this movie. And I was like, what? This is a movie that just sank without a trace. But I guess this is the fun of doing homework for superstar episodes. We
It is.
stumble upon movies that we thought we would hate or we just never bothered to check out and then we like them. So, what was the first Vidya Balan movie you ever saw, Beth?
Probably Parineeta, but I can't
Mm.
remember. I'd have to check. But
Yeah.
because that movie came out the year I started watching Hindi films and it was such a big deal,
Yeah.
and I didn't get to see it right away. I don't think it played here or something. And so I remember just being like very, very eager to see that. And
Yeah.
I think I had to get it on DVD from Netflix. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I think
When
I
you
think
double
that's
check your mailbox.
how I finally got my hands on it. So um yeah, so she's been around in a significant way my whole Indian film journey, really,
Yeah.
as has Dharmendra, who departed
I
this earth
know.
just this morning. And I woke up seeing texts from
So
various
sad.
people, including Pitu, saying, "Oh," I
I
was like,
know.
"Why was Pitu up at like 5 in the morning or
I
whatever
know.
it was when you sent it?" But uh, so yeah, she's definitely an omnipresent figure to me, and her there was kind of a slump there for a little bit, right? Kind of in the
Hmm.
last few years. And then she's doing various things to various degrees of effectiveness, but it sure is good to see her. I'm always happy to see her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I too am interested to talk about actor versus star about this.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Parineeta was also the first time I saw her as like in a movie, but like I knew who she was because I was a big fan of the indie pop band Euphoria, and she was in,
Uh,
she was in Dhoom Pichak and stuff like that. And she was, you saw her on like billboards and hoardings and print commercials. She always did she was never like a ramp model type of like a model lead person, but she would be in like an ad for like Horlicks or something. I actually knew someone who played like the little boy that she gives like Horlicks or Complan or something. She was always like this young, cute ma, who's like peddling like packaged goods and stuff. Or she would be like in a Titan commercial, that sort of like very like wholesome, homely kind of, but like you'd seen her.
Can we
And
talk
then,
about that for a minute? Because I feel like she gets saddled with mumsy
yes.
in a way that, despite demonstrating repeatedly that she is sexy AF,
Hmm.
what is it about her that this seems to, that like kind of mumsy, frowsy, a little bit dowdy, but also funny, right? Like she's on
Yeah.
Instagram doing funny things all the time. So like, wh- what is this about her that makes this part of her persona, do you think?
I think some of it is honestly just Indian directors and specifically fashion designers' inability to dress a woman who is not size zero.
Mm.
And she's not plus size by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact that she's not like skinny, I think in their minds you can't be sexy if you're not skinny, which is a load of bullshit. But I do think that she has been dressed so atrociously by so many designers in the past, and they don't know how to dress her. Some of it, I think, is also the fact that she loves wearing saris. She has a very
Mm.
normal and like non-outlandish way of presenting herself, which I'm giving her a huge compliment, by the way. There's something very earthy and sensible. I think she's very sensible.
Mm.
She's like this upper middle class girl from like a Tamil household, born and raised in Mumbai, from an educated family, and it's that same sort of like milieu that the Madhuri Dixits and the Aishwarya Rai came from. And so I think it's a little bit of like, she doesn't do stupid stuff to stay in the news. And apparently that's
That is
just,
true.
so then she's seen as wholesome. And there is a very direct line from wholesome to mumsy, which is dumb, but
That's
that's how it
interesting.
is,
The direct
you
line
know?
from wholesome to mumsy. And it
Yeah.
seems to have hit her early.
Hmm.
And maybe even that's some of what you're talking about in terms of what people were tapping into about her when she was a um an advertising model.
Yeah. And it's also like, for example, the way she dressed, right? Like, I'm a huge proponent of dress the way you want. There
Oh
is
yeah.
no right, there is no wrong, all of that. But for example, if you look at the way that she used to dress, even on like red carpets and premieres and stuff, or when she went to Cannes, she was trolled so heavily for when she went to Cannes. I think for
Yeah.
Ishqiya is why she'd gone. She would wear a lot of like handloom saris, or she would wear like kanjivarams. She would have her hair in a bun. She would have a bindi. Now, the thing is, you can do all of those things. But if you do those things, you have to be Rekha's age and stature. The
Uh,
younger actresses of like the Priyanka Chopras of the time, or now if you look at Janvi Kapoor, they'll wear saris too, but they wear extremely sexified saris. They're wearing the see-through georgettes, they're draping their pallu. This used to be a pet peeve of mine and Amrita's back in the blogging days, where Priyanka Chopra in particular would wear her saris in a way where there was just like threadbare fabric between her boobs, and we would be like, excuse me, what are you wearing? It was just the most like ghastly draping that you could imagine. Meanwhile, there's Vidya Balan looking extremely appropriate and adorable, but immediately she gets slotted as like, there's this word that we use in India, which I'm sure you've heard, which is so annoying. It's very derogatory. It's the word Benji.
sure.
It's like Auntie Ji. So
Yeah.
she, and Behenji is, the reason is derogatory is because it's not actually used for people who are of that age group. It's used for women who you're calling them a Behenji, but they're like 22 years old.
Yeah.
So the fact that she wasn't willing to like just wear like ridiculous nonsense all the time, and she wasn't just willing to like wear stupid shit, I think that slotted her as a Behenji, which is very unfair and very wrong. And I don't know what solution there is to that, right? Like I noticed that happening with Tripti Dimri too. Like we noticed that in Thamma. Was there a reason why Rashmika Mandanna's outfits were as revealing as they were?
Right.
Or if you look at Tripti Dimri's outfits in Bhool Bhulaiyaa, I cannot think of any royal princess who's wearing their saris as low as she is, or who's wearing cleavage showing blouses, right? So I think a lot of it is like the fashion chatter and her refusal. I think the fact that she wanted her work to speak for itself, it's like, how dare she?
Right. Right.
Because you're a star, let's stay in your place, please. I think there's definitely a strong heaping of that. It's like she went to Cannes to promote her movie, but meanwhile people are picking apart her fashion choices, and it's like, dude, you can't win. So I
Yeah.
think she's just like, to some extent, just a victim of, just this very superficial, and just kind of like catty chatter where you just want to bring down someone who's doing well. But that's my opinion. Do you have a different theory?
No, I don't have a theory. I don't feel like I know enough about so as you were saying, she doesn't do anything stupid that keeps her in the news in a bad way. But
Yeah,
my understanding as well, as stated many times, I'm very out of like I don't really pay that much attention to film
right.
gossip, film world gossip, but nothing has ever trickled through to my consciousness about her, even when I was super active on Twitter.
Yeah,
Uh, she married what seems to be a relatively nice man with very high earning potential.
yeah,
And she's just kind of stayed pretty quiet, right?
yeah,
As far as I can tell. So maybe that's also part of it, especially in a like maybe she wouldn't have seemed as mumsy in a world without social media where we expect people to be performative at all times and doing something for
maybe.
our amusement or our greedy devouring of quote unquote information and whatever else. So I don't know, but the fact that she was being slotted that way before she was even on TV very much, although
Hmm.
of course some, you know, so yeah, I don't really know, but I think it's interesting and I she's one of those people for whom I really really hope she's happy. I really
Yeah,
do because I would love for her to be acting more, but and I
yeah,
assume given who she's married to, she could be in as many things as she wanted. So I have to kind of hope that I have to assume that she's doing what she wants to do, but I don't
hmm,
know that that's true. I would love to see her more.
yeah. I think she's doing a fair bit considering the age bracket that she's in. And
Sure.
I think Allah Rani, I think both of these women have been working for so long that
True.
it's possible that they're also, given the fact, same like Rani, she's also proven her acting chops. And I think at this point, she's probably like, I'm not going to do stupid roles. She's probably not even being offered stupid roles, to be honest. Like, no one's going to offer her like eye candy roles anymore.
No.
So, how many of those scripts are even coming her way, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it could just be like wanting to have some sense of like work life balance or something. But she does come out with movies like Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3
Mhm.
came out in 2024, and then Do Aur Do Pyar also came out in 2024, and both are diametrically different films. I don't know what else she has going on. I really want her to work at some point with Zoya Akhtar, because I just feel like
Oh,
the
interesting.
combination of Zoya Akhtar, Rima Kakti, and Vidya Balan, I think they could create something so bitingly funny and witty. I just want that combination to do something together.
Yeah, that would be very
So,
interesting.
yeah. So, what were your thoughts when you saw Parineeta for the same time? Because I know for the first time, because I know I was like blown away. I thought she was so
I don't
amazing.
really remember.
Okay.
I have to say, I think I was fairly bedazzled at it visually.
It was just so
Um,
pretty.
I wish I know when we were talking about that when we did our Parinita episode series, um, that I wonder if I was as annoyed at Seth's character as I am this time around, but I don't remember. So
Yeah. I suspect you were bedazzled by Seth, because so was I. It was just, there's something about Seth in those outfits that I was just like, oh, you're such a jerk, but I love you anyway.
and
Fine.
that
What?
that film is pretty high. It's an interesting overlap of if you are new to not only Indian cinema but India in general, right? It has a pretty high overlap of cinematic wow and then also like, oh, is this what India is like?
Right.
Wow. And
Yeah.
because it's set in the past but not too far past, like that was sort of like right. different enough to be very exciting, but
Mhm.
recognizable enough to be like,
Right.
okay, mid-century, you know,
Yeah.
and the old cars and the record player and those beautiful houses. And like I still
Uh-huh.
love Bengali film homes. So
Yeah.
I think it ticked a lot of boxes for newbie Beth.
Yeah.
But I don't particularly remember reactions. So
Mm. I remember just being kind of bedazzled by her because the ads I used to see her in, which were all these like packaged good ads, she was just kind of like the wholesome young mom. And then uh, in the Hum Paanch sitcom that she was in it for the first season. She played this bespectacled, very nerdy, very bookish sister. It's five sisters, and so it's a sitcom about five sisters, and so there's like the sporty
Mhm.
one and the short tempered one and the funny one, and then she's the nerdy one. And she was that was so different to suddenly see her in Parineeta, and she's like all glammed up and looking breathtakingly gorgeous. And I was like,
Yeah.
are you Radhika Mathur from Hum Panch? Like, I don't even recognize you. um so yeah, I remember being like dazzled by her, but I also remember feeling so excited because I was like, okay, here's someone that can act.
Mm,
Here's someone that
yeah.
is extremely beautiful but is holding her own with Saif Ali Khan, with
Mhm.
Sanjay Dutt. She's,
Right.
her dialogue delivery was great. Everything about her was great. She was great in the songs. She had screen presence. Like when she was on
Mhm.
screen, you couldn't take your eyes off of her. And I was just like, okay, a star is born. This person is going to go on to great heights, and rather than just be a one hit wonder or whatever. And then I think after that she's made such smart, like, movie decisions. Like you said, I mean, she's proven that she can be sexy. She's proven that she
Yeah.
can be raunchy. She's proven she can have like an edge to her. And maybe it's possible that she and the filmmakers use her almost like wholesome vibe to their advantage, because when she does wicked things, you don't expect her to be doing the wicked things. And
Right.
so maybe they land better. It's kind of
Right.
like Juhi Chawla with the wholesomeness, and then
Yeah.
you're like, wait, what? You did that? That's kind of wicked of
Yeah.
you. Um, so tell me a little bit about how was she in Bhalo Theko? So that was her very first film. How many years before Parineeta did it come out?
2 years, so it's
Okay.
2003.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if it was filmed earlier. This film also stars Sumitra Chatterjee, whose
Oh.
filmography I have a decent handle on, and even looking at how old he was, I couldn't tell you if I thought it was significantly earlier than 2003. It seems about that to me, for what that is worth. It also has wee baby Parambrata Chatterjee in it.
Okay.
And so when you think about them and Kahani having this
Yeah.
completely different kind of relationship, it's very entertaining. I was talking with a Bengali American friend about that on Bluesky last night. We're all like, "Oh, it's a reunion," that I
Oh.
didn't know. This is a strange little movie. It's got a few jumps back and forth in time. It has a lot, and I mean a lot, of shots of her standing outside, gently leaning wistfully against a tree, or looking across a lawn, or admiring a flower, or looking at the sky. There's a lot of this. There's a shot of her in a window, and I'm like, I see your Charulata. I see it.
All right.
Bengali film, checkbox. It's kind of a drifty sort of impressionistic film in a way.
Okay.
It's not full on weird like, you know, Gajagамini or something like that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it is a little atypical, I would say. It does feel a little arty. Um,
Mhm.
I found it with English subtitles on Einthusen. Thank you,
Mhm.
Einthusen. The subtitles were not great. There are definitely chunks where there weren't any. And then they were that kind where they don't outline the letters, so they blend into the background here and
Mm.
there. If it's so that wasn't ideal, but I'm glad to have them at least somewhat. Um, she is the protagonist of this film, such that there is one really. It's focused on her. She plays the daughter in a family whose brother is a radical and eventually goes and joins the Naxal movement. He's got a friend she is besotted with this friend. It's unclear. I think Wiki says that they're lovers. I don't know if that means like sexually or just they love each other.
Mhm.
Unclear. Then he goes off to America and some things happen. Her uncle is Sumitra Chatterjee, who's around the house and kind of talking a lot about, oh, back in the 50s, the labor unions did this, and back when there were radical artists, we did that, and that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
he's talking about like the great film directors. So he's rattling off, Ghanchakkar and things like that. Um, and then there are a few other, there's a a younger woman and her kind of quest to be more modern, and then Vidya's characters kind of you basically only see her at home. It's kind of like the things that drift through, not drift, but come in and out of their house and things like that. And I think
Okay.
you could argue it's kind of about a young woman balancing tradition and modernity, although we don't see her engaging with modernity particularly that I was
Okay.
aware of. But um, and poetry is factors into this movie a lot. So it's strange, but I thought she again holding her own, like she's in scenes with Sumitra Chatterjee and she does
Mm.
great. And she has a very expressive face. She uses her face very well. So shots of her looking at things are much more interesting than they would be if lots of other people were doing.
Yeah.
So definitely one for the video completists or the sort of just, huh, curious about what this might be. But I'm not going to tell anyone like run out and watch it right now. But if somebody does feel that way, I'd love to hear about it because again, the subtitle issue I think was probably there for me at least somewhat. So
Okay.
an interesting watch.
I'm almost getting a little bit of a Bengali night vibe while
Yeah,
you were
it has
talking,
some of
right?
that. It
Yeah.
has some of that, and she would have been great in that role
Mm-hmm.
in that
Okay.
film. So yeah, it does have a little bit of those same feelings. But as you know, often on these episodes, I try to watch the very first film of someone.
Yeah.
So I was glad to have access to that for this one. And I don't remember hearing anyone ever talk about this film very much. And
Yeah.
it makes me want to go into the old Bollywood archives and see if
Right.
anyone has written about it. I didn't leave myself time to dig around too much, but it's a strange little thing. Writing in English about Bengali films, particularly other than the like black and white classic era, is very difficult to find.
Right.
So my attempts to Google this didn't go particularly well, and then
Yeah.
I was sleepy and went to bed. So yeah, if anyone has seen
Were
this,
you
I would
wistfully just looking at your bed in the
really, I
distance?
was. I was like, oh, it's so cozy. It's so cold. I would love to know what people think of this film.
Okay. And then what was the other film that you watched?
Ishqiya,
Oh yeah, that one
which
is amazing.
fantastic, holds up perfectly. I know that I watched it for her, but I do. I mean, I had everyone in this movie is great, but every now and again when I see Nasiruddin Shah, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's right. That's why we all
Yeah.
revere you so much. Like, because you kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
And then every now and again, you see something that maybe it's a little different for you, for what you've seen, or it's just contrasted to what you've seen of his most recently. And like, wow,
Yeah.
obviously. And then Arshad Farsi is also great. He's a
He
person we
is.
don't use enough, in my opinion. I've always enjoyed
Hmm.
him. Um, and yeah, they're all fantastic in this movie, but she is so I don't want to are there people who haven't seen Ishqiya? I feel like
I
this
doubt
was
it.
so huge in the conversations at the time.
Hmm.
I hadn't even listened to these songs in a while, and the rest
Right.
of the day I was like, "Ibn Amadou, da, da,"
Yeah.
and everything. Just fantastic. But she is so, there's that thing in the beginning about there's no gas in the thing, and then the house
Hmm.
explodes, and I was like, "That's what she's like." Like
Yeah.
she is and watching her be calculating, especially once you figure out she is being calculating. And I don't remember how I received that the first time I saw the film, but obviously watching it again, I was like, oh yeah, you can look for these signs of what she's up
Mm.
to. And it's just so, so good. She's so devious. And yet I feel so bad for her because she married this man who hasn't hasn't lived the way he implied to her or said to her that he would, and isn't allowing her to live the way she wants to,
Hmm.
clearly. And it's so interesting that this is the path that she chooses to try to create some kind of better life in some way for herself. And then the fact that the film ends with the three leads just walking down the road together, I'm like, what will they do? And I
Yeah.
don't remember if in Date Ishqiya, if they refer to that or not. I haven't rewatched that one in a long time either. So
Mm.
it's not a cliffhanger, but it's certainly there's not a lot of resolution. It's one of those films that kind of just stops rather than
Yeah.
ooh, in certain ways. But she's magnificent in this film, of
Yeah.
course, of course. So, and it obviously sets up like that pretty miraculous chunk of films for her where you have Ishqiya, you have Dirty Picture, and you have Kahani in 3 years subsequently. And
Wow.
those, like, that's the high for her, right? And like, I think she's never
Hmm.
really regained that. But those are and she does lots of good work before and after,
Right.
clearly, but those three I think are significant for her, and they are very significant films in
In general,
general.
yeah.
So it was amazing casting. I don't want to say she was, I don't want to diminish her by saying she was lucky, but everyone involved in those projects, like really,
Hmm.
I hope that their careers benefited from those as much as they should, because those are all magnificent films in different ways. And she's fantastic in this. It's
And
almost hard to talk about it because she's so good.
And her roles in all those movies were completely different. I mean, she's
Right.
so devious and calculating in Ishqiya, and then she's so almost too straightforward and too naive. Almost like I hesitate to use the word pure, but she's almost too pure in the dirty
Yeah,
picture and doesn't really understand the
yeah,
transactional ways that society behaves in, and then is so upset by it. And then there's Kahani, where she's also devious, but of a
very
different
devious. Yeah.
kind.
And all of these have her being betrayed in some way or other.
Yeah.
Maybe if I were to break down a lot of women's lead roles, you would see that a lot actually,
Yeah.
but very, these very extreme ways. And,
Hmm.
these women persevering despite everything.
Hmm.
She's very good at that. She's very
Yeah.
good at that.
I know. I think for me, definitely like The Dirty Picture was one of the movies that really blew me away
Oh
because
yeah.
I had just never seen a lead play that kind of character where she was literally portraying Silk Smitha,
Yeah.
and then the outfits that she wore in it, the dances that she did. I mean, that movie just starts with a bang, and then you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
is this our wholesome, sweet, Parineeta? Or is this Vidya Bakshi? Like, who is this person?
Yeah, and so even more amazing that she did that now that and Kahani comes after that one. So it's interesting
Hmm.
too that she's like making these big jumps in these huge films and like just
Yeah.
she's so amazing. She's so amazing. And
We should be grateful that she did not debut in the 80s. Can you imagine how her talent would have been wasted?
uh, because she's not gonna quite be a dancer, right? Like
Right.
I don't have any issue with her dancing. I think obviously Dirty Picture is probably where it's on display the most, right?
Yeah.
Um, so she couldn't have at least had that the way some of the women in that
Hmm.
in that time period did. But yes, I'm very glad that she's a little bit younger than you and I, but not by much. And I
Hmm.
think the films that were available to her
No, I think she's
suited her
older
quite
than me.
well. Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, she's had a great, not every time is every film a great match for her for what she does well, but
Hmm.
she has had quite a few and
Yeah.
they're pretty spectacular.
I don't think I've ever seen a Vidya movie where I was disappointed by her. I've seen plenty of films where I was like, this movie is so annoying. But she has always been good in everything I ever saw. And I think
Yeah.
it's just there's some films that she's done where they didn't really take advantage of her talent, but it was
Mhm.
fine. Like,
Yeah.
she's not exactly the reason that you're watching Lagera Homuna Bhai, or, some of those
No.
like silly movies like Kismet Connection and whatnot. It's like it's fine, but it's not like she's terrible. Um but the movies that I watch, okay, so I'll talk about Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3 last because I want to hear your opinion on it because that's part of why I saw it. But so Do Aur Do Pyar is actually interesting. I liked it. I would recommend it. Did I see it? I saw it on Netflix, but I think it's on iTunes also. Um, it's an age appropriate romance and it's very interesting. This is not exactly a spoiler because I think the movie, I mean, description itself says this, but Vidya Balan and her husband are both having affairs with other people. Her husband is played by Pratik Gandhi, who I always forget is so talented. And then every time I see him, I'm like, you are so good. Why don't I ever think about you?
Isn't
Like,
that true? Yeah.
yeah, he's just, there's something about him, like, he's just not spoken about very much. And I think it's also like he's like not a hero. So also, I've never heard of anyone calling themselves like a Pratik Gandhi fan or anything like that, so I just don't think of it. It's like he doesn't occupy headspace for me. But then when I see him, I'm like, dang, you're so good. So her and Pratik Gandhi are spouses in this movie, and you can tell that their marriage is basically like dead. They don't like hate each other, but they also don't really, like, the spark is gone and all of those things. And we discover pretty early on in the movie that both of them are cheating on their spouses. So Pratik Gandhi is having an affair with Ileana de Cruz, and she is having an affair with Senthil Ramamurthy. And the movie just, goes on from there. I was expecting this movie, I don't know why, to be like a very serious or very like tearjerker situation, or like very schmaltzy with like big monologues about infidelity and stuff like that. It's actually none of those things. It's quite lighthearted. It's almost like a dark comedy, and it's actually fairly well written. Um, and I think everyone, with the exception of Senthil Ramamurthy, does a good job. This is the first time I've seen Senthil in anything, really.
Oh no.
He cannot act. He
Oh,
looks
he's so good in
gorgeous.
that. I mean, I've only seen him on TV, I guess, but
Yeah. No, I was excited to see him, and he is gorgeous, right? Like, he comes on screen, you're like,
yes.
wow. And then
Uh-huh.
he opens his mouth and you're like, oh good
Oh
lord.
no.
It was basically Milind Soman Redux. It was like when Milind Soman went from like modeling to from and movie music videos
Oh
to like movies,
no.
and I'm like, oh, you're delicious. And then I was like, oh my, never
Oh
mind.
no.
He's so bad. His dialogue delivery is terrible. He's so monotone. His face doesn't move. And meanwhile, it's even worse because he's in these scenes with Vidya Balan. And meanwhile, Pratik Gandhi is hitting it out of the park in his scenes with Vidya. So then you see Sendil and you're like, great, let's see him now bring the scene down. He has like
Oh.
maybe a few moments of spark here and there, but for the most part, he's pretty damn awful. And if the objective was to cast her opposite someone who's like US returned or something. So I think we're supposed to understand that he's an Indian person born and raised in America who happens to go to India. He's a professional photographer, because of course he is. And so he comes to India and he wants to do like some photography, and he meets her or whatever, and then decides to stay back instead of going back to New York because he's having an affair with her. You could have cast anyone else. You could have just cast an Indian actor with an Indian accent and just been like, well, he was in India he was in the US for 5 years, hence he still has the Indian accent, and now he's moved back to India or something like that. There was no need to cast this man because he cannot act. I'm sorry to break this to people who may have been looking forward to Senthil Ramamurthy performance, but that was a very underwhelming performance. Having said that, if people are looking for eye candy, he does provide that in many scenes. In many scenes, he provides that, but he is very underwhelming. I would recommend this movie to people. It does look at things like marriages that have gone stale, people walking out on their spouse and being, again, she's devious in this movie. There's scenes where she'll pick up the phone and she'll speak a certain way, and it's because she's speaking with her lover on the
Oh
phone,
yeah.
or she'll pick up the phone and it's her husband and her lover gets upset with her. There's some very interesting scenes when she goes back to her hometown for her grandfather's funeral. Pratik Gandhi goes with her. Those scenes are hilarious. So she is a Tamil person who ran away and got married to Pratik Gandhi, and he plays a Bengali, and their family was against it, blah, blah. So he's accompanied her to Uti, and it was just kind of hilarious. Like, his attempts to speak Tamil and how his mispronunciation like gets them all like fired up against him. He has a really good sense of humor, and he uses it to his
Mhm.
advantage. So I would recommend this movie. It's not going to change anyone's life, but if we are tired of watching 60-year-old men romance 20-year-olds on screen, and we would like to see more age appropriate romances and a more sensible look at marriage without it being like really heavy and overwrought, then this is the movie for you. And I would wholeheartedly recommend this
Mm.
watch. And also, if you are looking forward to see Pratik Gandhi, and Vidya Balan holds her own. Of course, she's great in this film. I wouldn't say she necessarily has to do a ton. She's not reinventing the wheel here, but there are some scenes in particular I really loved. So she has a very fractious relationship with her father in this movie, and he is like a typical older man who is uncomfortable with showing affection. He doesn't like to show affection. He doesn't like to say anything nice. Every word out of his mouth is a criticism. He's also very upset with her because she eloped and got married to a non-Tamil person. there are some scenes where the tension between them just blows over and they're basically having a screaming match. And she's so good in those scenes. No one can do a screaming match like Vidya Balan can.
Mm.
But then there's also scenes that are softer. There's a really, really good scene where she's standing next to him and she just looks at him point blank and she says, "Why could you never show me any affection? Because you never showed me affection during my childhood. I spent my entire life looking for affection and being needy. And the first person that showed me love, I would just follow them around." And it was, I think, one of the first times, not the first time, but one of the few times, I think, in Hindi cinema that they talk about emotionally unavailable parents, which is
Yeah.
such a rarity in a cinema culture and just generally in a culture where parenthood is just put up on this pedestal.
Mm.
Um, this is also a very interesting movie in the sense that it's the second film now that I've seen where Vidya Balan's character proudly proclaims herself to be child free after Sherni. And this is also a stance that Vidya Balan has in real life as well.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she gets directors to sneak that in, perhaps. But anyway, Do Aur Do Pyar recommend. The other film I saw was Ghanchakkar. I really enjoyed it. Um, to me, and tell me if you disagree or not, but I feel like Vidya Balan and Imran Hashmi is the weirdest pairing ever.
It's weird, right? And then they had a couple of films together there, and you're like, man.
Yes. Yeah, they're so chalk and cheese, and I don't mind Imran Hashmi. It's not like I'm an Imran Hashmi hater, and of course I love Vidya. He's very good in the kind of films that he does, right? But they're so
Stay
weird
over there.
together. Yeah, those like murder and all those like Mohit Suri movies that he does. No, but like Imran Hashmi is talented. He's just not the one that's going to be running around the trees and lip syncing and stuff. But when he
Right.
does his shtick, he's like Abhay Deol in that regard. Like they're not versatile, but when they're doing their shtick, they're actually really good at it. I almost think of him a little bit as like proto Farhan Akhtar, maybe. I don't know. I have
Interesting.
to think about that a little bit more. But he kind of has that like angsty thing going on that I enjoy. And no one does grumpy like Imran Hashmi does grumpy. I have to say, I enjoy that is a grumpy camel for the ages. Ghanchakkar, this man does not give you one smile. He wakes up grumpy, he goes to bed grumpy. I appreciate the commitment to the grumpy. But anyway, so the other Vidya Balan Imran Hashmi movie I saw was in India. I was jet lagged. This was like a few years ago. I was jet lagged. Everyone in my house was asleep. It was 3 a.m. I didn't know what to do with myself. So I went to the living room, put the TV on, and put like subtitles or something on because I couldn't have like a high volume because everyone was sleeping. And I happened to stumble upon Hamari Adhuri Kahani, which is an absolutely atrocious film starring Vidya Balan and Imran Hashmi. And
Right.
even in the delirium of my jet lag, I was wide awake and watching this gobsmacked at how bad this movie was. So I approached Ghanchakkar with trepidation. And I was actually rewarded with a very entertaining movie. I thought they were great. Vidya Balan is hysterical in this film. She wears the most outlandish outfits.
Yeah.
And she's constantly reading fashion magazines, like she's reading like Vogue and Cosmo and all of that. And she has like a Punjabi accent, and she wears the most like this is a very like Mumbaiya word, atrangi. Like they're just weird. She wears the most atrangi outfits, and she's so proud of them. She's like making breakfast, and I'm like, you look like a bumblebee. What are you wearing? It's horrible. And then she gives Imran Hashmi like a pajama set that he refuses to wear, but because he's trying to like suck up to her, he wears it. It's red with white polka dots. And I was like, you look like Minnie Mouse, like a grumpy Minnie Mouse. It's hilarious. And I never see her do sort of this like brash, Punjabi, over the top, terrible fashions person, but she does that in this movie and she's very, very funny. It is very much Imran Hashmi's movie, I have to say, but their interactions are really good and they spar really well. So I think the
Mm.
secret to having Vidya and Imran in a movie is to have them absolutely loathe each other. If they pretend to like each other, it's not going to land. But if they absolutely hate each other and they're just like going at it like cats and dogs, then it's great fun.
Mm.
So I would like another Imran Vidya movie.
Ah.
Maybe Zoe Akhtar can write it and Rima Kanti can write it, and they can just be like at it. I think that would be great. And then the third movie that I watched was Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3, which slipped through the radar for me, but I really enjoyed the first Bhool Bhulaiyaa. And Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2 was like, eh. But then I wanted to watch this one because A, Vidya, B, Madhuri Dixit, Kartik Aaryan I couldn't care less about. So I was like, let's watch it. And I feel like this movie could have been so much better. The
Sure.
writing was so poor. The direction was so bad. The editing was hideous. But in the last 15 minutes, that twist, I
Yeah.
was like, wow, that was
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
in those last 15 minutes, what Madhuri and Vidya did, and also
Yeah.
what Kartik Aaryan did, I was like, this is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But like 75% of the movie
Yeah.
is atrocious. So I have so many feelings about this. So why don't you tell me first what you thought? Oh, and there was a moment where I was going to WhatsApp you, but it was really late, and I was going to. I was going to WhatsApp you in caps lock. Is this revenge for all the bad films I have recommended to you? Why would you do this? Am I not your friend? Because I was like,
Dost Ya Dushman, the
yeah,
title of our
it was
forthcoming
it
film.
was it was very Dostya Dushman. I was like, does Beth secretly hate me? Because I was like, why would she recommend this terrible movie? But then the last 15 minutes, I was like, Dost. This
Dost.
is a JV friendship. It's fine. So tell me what your thoughts were on BB3.
Well, I'm trying to I think I saw that in the theater.
Yeah, I think you did
I
actually.
think I did too. Usually I write down if I saw it in the theater. Now I can't remember, but I thought I did. Um, I just remember being I'm not going to argue with anything that you said, especially because like, I didn't just watch it. So but I remember having fun and certainly more fun than I thought I would. And Kartik Aaryan is a person whose appeal I understand this much.
All right.
No amount at all. I was doing an episode with our friends at Kandan yesterday, and we were going to watch we watched part of one of the trailers for or teasers or whatever they're calling it for his an upcoming film. And Amrita and I were like,
Right.
and I actually said, what does this person do well? Because I don't know. I don't get it. And I know Asim was like, he's for the youth. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's it. And that's kind of all there is to it, in terms of like just not for me. But
But like
I
a person can be for the youth and still be good. Like I kept
sure.
wishing Varun Dhawan was in BB3.
Oh,
He would be
sure.
so good as Rubaba.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. Lots of people could have done this and done
Hmm.
it better and had, more fun. But I did have fun. And like you said, the twists and all at the end are really quite something. And I definitely did not see them
I
coming.
did not see it coming.
So
I
that was
absolutely hated them. I mean the characters. I absolutely hated when the twist came, and I will not spoil it for people,
no.
but when we find out what Vidya Balan's character did, and we found out what Madhuri's character did, and I was just horrified as things were unfolding, because as we know, I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and so I didn't immediately put two and two together, but I was starting to get some very like questionable feelings, and I was like, something is not right. I do not like where this is going. There is something icky. There is something afoot. And then as it kept unfolding, which I think they did a good job with like holding that tension, as it
Mhm.
kept unfolding, I was like, no, they wouldn't. Would they? Oh my God, they did. What? And I just went through like an emotional roller coaster. And I
Yeah.
thought Karthik Aryan was so good in that
Mhm.
twist. My
Mhm.
heart really went out to him. And I was just like,
Mhm.
I feel very bad for you.
What's happening right now?
I know. And then the dance, the CGI dance, I
Yeah,
thought that was
I
fantastic. I
had
thought
fun
that
with
was
that
some
too.
excellent dancing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so, and it was, again, devious, maniacal, just awful, no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And my husband was watching this movie with me, and he was trying to like take their side a little bit, where he was like,
Uh-huh.
well, if you think about it, it's like generational trauma, because their father was gonna like disinherit them only because they're women. And so I was like, you be quiet, did you see what they did? And then later off, when I got off the emotional roller coaster, and like I took off the safety thing and I got off the ride, I was like,
Right.
okay, fine, I see your point, I understand it, whatever. It was still demonic, it's still maniacal, and I still hate it. But
Amazing.
I loved how Machiavellian
Yeah.
both Vidya and Madhuri's
Yep.
characters were. I loved their interactions with each other, and how they see each other for who they are. And now I almost want to go back and watch the movie and forward through all of Karthik Aryan scenes, and forward through all the comedy. The comedy trio really drove me crazy. I want to forward through all of that and the terrible songs, and just to see if I can pick up on some of those
Sure.
undercurrents
Yeah,
between the two actresses. But yeah, Vidya does Wicked really well, I feel like.
she does. She
Yeah.
does.
So that was really amazing. So I really enjoyed that bit. So then I was like, yeah, this is redeemed bets in my eyes.
What are so we've obviously talked about her Bhool Bhulaiyaa when we did an episode
Yes.
on that, and it's Malayalam original. We've talked about Parineeta. We've talked about Dirty Picture.
Kahani.
We've talked about Kahani. Those both featured in our color series, Kahani for red and Dirty Picture for purple. I was reminded Ishqiya, she wears purple quite a bit too. So I was like, oh, that would have
Mm,
been another one, which I would never ever have remembered.
right.
What other
We've
Korean
in
movies?
passing, I think in like the catching up series, I think I mentioned Jalsa because I love her with Shefali
That's
Shah.
right, you have.
And you've mentioned Sherni at one point, which I've also
I have
seen.
not seen it, but
Oh,
that and Niyat are things I keep thinking about, but then I'm
oh
like,
yeah.
and you've told me not to watch Niyat, but it's a murder mystery, so I feel like I probably will, but who knows? I did watch Shakuntala Devi for
You did.
jobs that women with interesting jobs, I think. So quite a few of her films are available also. Her films are available on this podcast.
Yeah.
I thought about rewatching Teen because favorite micro genre, people looking for things in Calcutta. Uh, but I did not get to that. But I, as I look at her filmography, yeah, I feel like I've seen most of the ones that I'm probably gonna.
Hmm.
There are quite a few I have not seen, but like I'm not gonna watch Pa. I'm not.
Oh, it's
I
terrible. I've
resisted
seen
it
it.
at the time and I will resist it now.
Oh,
So
it was so awful.
there are quite a few. We have not really
Have you
talked
seen
about.
Eklavya? That's good.
I have
I
not
like
seen
her in it.
Eklavya, and
Okay.
some of these were so long ago, I barely remember. So, like, I've seen Guru, but I've seen it the one time in the theater, and I don't, you know, the
Plus,
one,
she doesn't have a lot to do in Guru.
no, I was thinking about Salame Ishq because one, that title song
It's
is a
such a
favorite of
banger.
mine, and every time I hear it, I have to play it a bunch more times and I twirl around my house. I
Yeah.
don't know why, but there's something about that song that just gets me. And then it is interesting to think about her with John Abraham. That is a weird pair, but
Yeah.
now that we know more about him as an actor in particular, I'm like, put them together again. I'd watch it again,
Right.
you know? So
Yeah. And then you've seen Mission Mangal, right?
no, I don't
Yeah,
want
she
to.
was in that. I mean, again, she didn't have a lot to, it's an Akshay Kumar film. Do you think Vidya is
Right.
gonna have a lot to do? No.
And I
Same
do
like
like
Pa.
I like movies about scientists and I like
Right.
movies that have sort of the nobility of science in them, but
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I would
Yeah.
watch it on a plane,
Right.
but it's been a while since I was on a super long enough flight to watch a movie like that.
Or you might watch it when you were jet lagged, like I did.
Right.
Yeah, and then what is that other film of hers that I've seen? Not Mission Mangal and Shakuntala Devi. There was another one that came out. Oh, Tumhari Sulu.
Oh, that's cute. I've seen that.
That one is cute. That's the only one that I was. But again, it's not like amazingly life
No,
changing or anything. But she had
no.
like this line that she kept saying, "Main kar sakti hai. I can do it." But I just thought that was very cute. So that was a cute one. So she's done these sort of like these middling kind of movies that are like neither here nor there. They're not really like these big budget star vehicles, but they're also not like straight to streaming either. And I feel like a lot of those movies haven't really landed. Oh, she was in No One Killed Jessica as well, which
I
that
considered that.
director
Yeah,
is the same one who made Ghanchakkar.
sure.
So yeah, she's what do you think, what genre do you think that does she excel at? Because she can do comedy too, which is one of the hardest
She
things to do.
can. She definitely can. Um, I think I yeah, she can do them all. I guess I prefer her in drama,
Yeah, me
which is
too.
not my usual answer for a lot of people, but I think um her best drama is better than her best comedy to me, if you know what I
Mm,
mean. They're
yeah.
both good and her best comedy is better than some other people's, but I think But Ishqiya, for example, there's still like a kind of a sparkle in there somewhere. So it's not like heavy, heavy drama, even though the things
Yeah.
happening are big and brutal and violent or whatever else, or like Dirty Picture, right? Which is very dramatic and has
Hmm.
horrible things. But there's still like that firecracker kind of
Yeah.
like stuff going on with her, and she brings it, and I think she brings it out in characters that are written that way. So I really like her at with that.
I think the reason I said I think of her as an actor and a star, partly is because I can always relate to a Vidya Balan character,
Mhm.
which is something I can't do with a lot of my favorite stars or some of my
Right,
favorite actors. For example, I love Smita Patil to bits. I cannot relate to her because I am nowhere close to being as strong as she is. Like, I'm just not. I'm
right,
a very silly
right.
person. And so
Oh,
like, no, that's just a no. But with Vidya Balan, it's like, for example, when she's really like getting upset with someone and she's really losing her shit and like having a screaming, I can see why she did that. There's like an every woman quality to her, that
mhm,
even when she's being like having these very extreme emotions, or even in Kahani, for example, or even if she's like plotting someone's murder or something, there's always something about it that I feel like is believable or relatable, and almost has like a girl next door quality to it, as opposed to just larger than life.
mhm.
Like even in Dirty Picture, she has a way of making you understand why she's doing what she's doing. So
Yeah.
there's a relatability to Vidya Balan that I feel like a lot of stars don't have. Or there's a relatability to her that even a lot of like actors don't have. In that, I think she's kind of unique in that regard. Even when she's being very glamorous, she's still believable. Like in Parineeta, she has an absolutely gorgeous wardrobe, right? Like for someone who is supposedly not as wealthy and is like a little bit on the empower side, her saris definitely are very expensive. But the way she's dressed and like her jewels and her all the things that she has and like her makeup and everything, she's still relatable though. So I wonder if that's also one of the reasons why she is so well loved. I mean, unlike say an Aishwarya Rai who catches a lot of flack for a lot of reasons, I've never actually heard anyone say they dislike Vidya Balan. Have
No,
you?
me neither.
I think it's because people can relate to her.
Yeah, interesting.
Uh,
Interesting.
uh,
Oh, we are having a bit of tech difficulty. Everyone, please bear with us.
Envious way.
Oh, okay.
So
You were frozen there for a second, so I missed the last thing you said. Will you say it again?
I was saying, even when she's being like very glamorous and very beautiful and very talented and all of those things, I think she doesn't irk people the way some of the more glamorous and some of the more like classically beautiful actresses do. And so, in that sense, I think she like slightly dodges that bullet.
Be pretty, but not too pretty.
Right. Yeah. She's
Be pretty
definitely,
enough to be a star, but not so pretty.
yeah, definitely I think that wholesomeness kind of like works to her advantage in that sense, perhaps.
Interesting.
Um, Very interesting. Um, Did you have an ice cream flavor you thought about for her?
I can't come up with one because what is something that is very, and I know you have one. So listeners, I was thinking about this all day at work, and then work interfered with itself. How dare it? And I was not
Mm.
able to continue thinking about this. So, and even since I got home, I've been trying to figure this out. And I want something with substance,
Mm.
but I don't want it to be that kind of niche ice cream that only grandparents like or whatever. Like the star that we gave rum raisin to. And I
Yeah.
think Raj Kapoor for me was rum raisin. I don't want her to be rum raisin. I want
Yeah.
her to be something that a lot of people choose, but I need it to be something that is also foundational.
Mm.
And we've already used vanilla for
Ranbir.
Ranbir Kapoor, which I'm still happy with. And
Yeah.
I was actually talking about good vanilla ice cream with a coworker today, and I was like, yeah, I still feel I didn't explain this to him, but I was
Right.
like, yeah, I still agree with that assessment.
I
So
almost wish you had explained that to him. I would have loved to hear that conversation.
I
Just the
know, right?
befuddled expression on
Like,
his
I know you
face.
don't watch Indian films at all, but hear me out. There's this
Yeah.
guy, and it is fourth generation, and then um. So, what is another? And we've used chocolate for somebody too. So we need our spreadsheet of ice cream. What else is foundational? And is it like a,
I can tell you my flavor.
yeah, please do.
Mine is salted caramel
I was
chocolate.
just thinking caramel. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go with
Because
that.
the chocolate, it's like it's robust. It has a
Uh-huh.
bite to it. There's a taste. It's not a wimpy flavor by
No, no,
any
no.
means, right? But then you put the caramel in it and it has like a little bit of an interesting texture and like in the gooiness of caramel stuff. And then the salt is surprising,
Yeah,
right? It's not just a straight up chocolate. It's like
right.
there's like a little bit of salt in it, and then it's like, huh, this is interesting. I remember the first time I ate salted caramel ice cream, and I it was in Chicago, and it was at a friend's house, and after dinner she was like, "We have a few ice creams. Does anyone want ice cream?" And I will never say no to ice cream
Of
because
course
I
not.
am normal.
Right.
And I was like, "What are the flavors?" And then she was like, "Ooh, do you want to try this?" And I was like, "Salted caramel? Who puts salt in an ice cream?" She was like, "Well, try it." And I was like, "Fine." And then I ate it, and I was like, "Oh my, I
Oh.
like this."
Yeah. I feel
I
like
went
as
from
a
like
culture,
questioning to delicious in like 2 seconds.
we went overboard on the salted caramel there for a little bit a few years ago. I feel like we
Yeah,
eased
we
back
did.
from it.
It
Um,
was very much a fad for a
it was,
while, and
yeah,
now it's like kind of become normal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great option, and I am glad that we came to that
Yeah.
separately. Yeah, I would also be okay with just a wholly caramel all the way mixed in kind of
Mm,
ice cream.
yeah.
I feel like that's more a thing you see with butterscotch, at least here. But
Like the
yeah,
swirly ones.
yeah, swirly or all the way integrated. But I like the idea of swirly because it contains, you never know what each bite will give you exactly. So I really do like
It
that.
contains multitudes,
Chocolate,
like with
salted
yeah.
caramel, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that sounds great. No notes, love it.
Yeah. Oh, the I wanted to make one point about her that I really, really, really appreciate, which is I think the woman takes risks. We know this
Yeah.
already, but what I mean is I think she's a very fearless actor. I appreciate the courage it takes to intentionally put on enough weight and to put on the kind of revealing outfits she has in Dirty Picture, where there are scenes in the film, like when I saw it in the movie theater, people gasped because there are scenes where she's sitting and there's rolls of like belly fat,
Mhm.
and it's like no heroine has ever done that.
We
It
see
was
that
just kind
so
of like
seldom with women. Yeah,
we
so
yeah,
seldom.
like literally her cup runneth over in that
Uh,
movie, and like the belly rolls and the jiggling, and I was like, oh my, like it was the first time anyone had seen that. I love the fact that she did it because Silk
yeah,
Smitha was not stick thin, and if you don't want to be, if you don't want to put on weight, just don't do the roll, then go let
right.
someone else do it. This is the same reason that I really appreciate Bhumi Pednekar for Dam Laka Ke Hai Chef, for the
Sure,
same
yeah.
reason. But Bhumi Pednekar was never like a star,
Right,
right?
right.
For someone of Vidya's caliber to do that was very much a gigantic risk that she took, and I really admire her for that, given the amount of fat shaming women experience on the regular, and they're not even the spotlight.
Right.
I also appreciate the fact that even though she's not known as a dancer per se, she works hard.
She does.
The Ami Je Tomar song from Bhool Bhulaiyaa is the first time that I saw her do like a full on like choreographed dance number, and she has executed that beautifully. And
Mhm.
I do not know the name of the male dancer with her, but he clearly
Oh,
looks like
right.
a professional
Yeah,
and
he
he
does.
knows what he's
Yeah.
doing. But they did that excellently. Her close ups, everything was perfect. Her movements were perfect. I
Mhm.
just thought she was great. And in Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3, I did not enjoy the dance between her and Madhuri as well because I don't think it was as well choreographed. They could have done better. But again, I think it takes a lot of courage to say, I'm not really a dancer and I'm going to do a dance with the Madhuri Dixit,
Yeah,
which Alia Bhatt chickened out of doing in Kalank,
right.
where we have that song where she's the student, she's performing Kathak, and Madhuri is just wandering around, just like admiring her student's prowess. Um, the fact that you're choosing to do a dance with Madhuri and you're not of that caliber and you know you're going to get criticized for it, and you can see the difference between them, right? Like you
Yeah.
can,
Oh, yeah.
but the fact that she does stuff,
And
she
it's not
does
an
it.
embarrassment.
No,
She's with
she's
herself,
clearly
I
worked
think.
hard,
Yep.
but I appreciate the fact that this woman takes risks. She's willing to be criticized. She's willing to be given whatever negative feedback you're gonna give her. She knows there's brickbats coming her way. She'll still do it. That takes an immense amount of spine, and I don't know if Vidya Balan gets credit for it. Like people always talk about how Preeti Zinta is like, bold or brave, which, she deserves that
Mhm.
because of, the way she stood up to the mafia and stuff. But no one ever talks about Vidya's very courageous choices. And I feel like I want to recognize that.
Yeah. And that is an interesting combination with the sort of mumsy.
Mm-hmm.
to yeah, because all the money in the world can't protect you from internet trolls. So
No. I mean, Aishwarya Bachchan, when post maternity, when she went to Cannes, I still remember people that I liked on Facebook were putting memes up that said "Gol Bachchan," and I
right,
was just like, unfriend. That was like an immediate.
it is shocking
I
what
do
people
not
will
know
say.
you anymore. Yeah. So anyway, I think that concludes this Vidya Balan episode. Did you have anything to add?
No, I want to know who our next superstar is, though.
I actually don't know. I'm gonna have to look up in our Google Drive. Oh, to our viewers slash listeners, both Beth and I independently decided that we did not want to do an episode on either Katrina Kaif or Priyanka Chopra, both of whom technically in our spreadsheet precede Vidya
Yeah.
Balan. We were very clear on not wanting to do a Katrina
Nope.
episode from the get go, mostly because I just didn't want to be a hater. I knew it was going to be 1 hour of me just bitching and moaning, and I was like, nobody has the time for that. It's fine. And then Priyanka Chopra, I was just kind of like, I don't really want to do an episode on her, but Beth, if you want to, I will. And then Beth was like, not really, I don't want to. And I was like, great, awesome. This is
I
the
will
advantage of
say,
having your own podcast.
I will say, in defense, sort of Priyanka, and pardon me if I've told this story before. Back when Quantico was going to air on US
Mm,
TV for the first time, I was asked by a magazine in Canada to write sort of like a here's what you need to know about Priyanka Chopra,
mm.
from her Indian career. And I surprised myself by naming many performances of hers that I thought were really good. They asked me to do a top 10, and at first I was like, I don't know if I can find 10. I did. So there's a lot I do like about her, but it's very grudging, and her persona really bugs the bejesus out of me. So I don't
Yeah,
have any time with it. However, the next time she does a movie that looks interesting to me, I will gladly watch it and talk about
yeah.
that. But like her as a the whole thing, I don't wanna.
Yeah. No, I feel the exact same way. Like I will never argue with anyone who tries to tell me what an amazing actor she is. I mean, if you've seen Sad Khun Maaf or like just honestly, like her filmography is really good and she's really good. Very talented actor. I just find her so grating that I'm like, oh my. I mean, there's just some people like that, right? Like, they're good at their job, but just for whatever reason, they just get your goat. And meanwhile, on the other hand, there's people that they're not the best at their job, but for whatever reason you have a soft spot for them because there's something charming or whatever about them. So anyway,
Of people who have charming things about them, I was on Kandan to talk about
mhm.
1 2 Kafour, which we thought was probably a film that people don't talk about all that much, and we were like, I wonder
Yeah,
if there's a reason for that. And so stay tuned to that episode to find out if we think there's a reason for that. But we all agree that Juhi is delightful and should be talked about all the time.
she's so adorable in that movie.
So
I love
adorable.
her in that song. What is that romantic number that they have?
Yeah,
You know the one I'm talking about.
yeah,
It's the one romantic number in this movie. Yeah, she's very cute in
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Um, okay, I think that concludes the superstar episode. I will go back to our spreadsheet and I will try to
I
figure
bet
out
it's
who our next
Alia,
person is.
right?
No, no, it
No,
has
is
to
there
be.
someone
It's
else?
probably like Kangna or something.
All right, who we may also decide doesn't
I'm
deserve
game.
our
I'm
attention.
game for doing a Kangna episode if
I
you
am
are.
too. I think I am
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Then I think we'll end up doing it. But I don't actually know if she's next. I'll have to check
Yeah.
the spreadsheet. Okay. Thank you for watching this episode. Please let us know what you think of Vidya Balan. We have recently gotten an influx of new subscribers. We have also been getting quite a lot of emails. I monitor the Filmi Ladies at Gmail. And we've been getting some very, very nice and very sweet complimentary messages of people who like the podcast. So thank you very much for
Thank
that.
you. That's so
Yeah.
nice.
People are like, you guys are the best. And I'm like, actually, we are. Thank you. No false humility here.
I've been newly invigorated. So when on Kandan they were asking me to tell everyone what Filming Ladies is in case they have not heard, and I was, saying that we try to focus on movies that have something interesting to say about women or have women doing who are that are made by women or future women. And then I was like, or are feminist. And I feel like that's a thing we haven't deliberately looked at for a while. So I was kind of
Mhm.
reinvigorated to be like, let's find some feminist films or films that
Yeah.
are put forward as feminist that we can discuss, or
Hmm.
woman-centered versus feminist or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I've got to add some of those to our list again. But there's always
Yeah.
always something in the cooking on the stove here at Filming Ladies.
Yeah. We're the anti-manosphere. Um, okay. Well, thank you for watching Film Ladies, and we will see you next week. Bye.